Hey there, my friends. I have been asked to share some perspective on how to go through a breakup. I don't know about you. I know I've been through my fair share of breakups, probably more than my fair share of breakups. I've also had the opportunity to work with lots of clients going through breakups after relationships that have been weeks long, and then also clients who have been breaking up in relationships that have been going on for decades. So let me share some perspective and JP opinion with you. First, I would dare say breakups aren't inherently designed to be easy. They're not necessarily designed to be a light, fluffy experience. It's kind of like the compost of life. It's yucky, it's rotten, yet compost is what creates new life. The first mindset, if you will, I'd ask you to consider when you go through a breakup is be sure to have a place for your emotions. This video isn't about how to self-medicate and make a breakup not painful. Ugh. That might be really discounting your meaningful experience. If we make the purpose of how to get through a breakup all about how to escape the pain that boils up inside of me about the breakup, then that probably means our next relationship will be the exact same thing as this one that's just crumbled. So making a place for our emotions. Do I feel sad? Do I feel angry as hell? Where do I feel? What do I feel? Where am I at on that spectrum? If I've just been the one that's broken up with someone, I need to make sure to give myself the right to feel what I feel. When I know a relationship isn't right for me, or heck, even more challenging, if I don't know a relationship is right for me or not, yet I end it anyway, that too is a very challenging experience. In my past, what that brings up in me is a lot of shame and guilt about I've made this lady's life hard. I've inflicted pain on her, and I punish myself with guilt and shame. I feel sad about it. So I need to make sure I have room for those emotions. Or if I've been the one that's been broken up with, if you're the one that's been broken up with, well, I might feel broken apart. I might feel sad. I might feel angry. I might feel all of that at the same time. I might have a sense of my life can't go on. I am nothing without this person. So making space for what feels very ugly. We need to have a place for that. There's more, but we need to have a place for that. Secondly, I'd ask you to consider know thy grief. Know what you are grieving. First, with grief. There's 5 predictable stages of grief. One is denial. And usually when I've come out of breakups, denial is what I dwell in the most. I'll come through a breakup. I'll be broken up with, or I've done the breaking up. So I'll go up to a friend and say, yeah, the relationship's done. And they'll say, wow, how is that for you, JP? And I'll say, it's perfect. It was meant to be. The time was right. And let's go out to eat. So in other words, I have to be careful to know when I'm in denial, because I spend a lot of time there when I'm grieving. The first stage of grief. Second stage of grief is blaming ourselves. Boy, I'm screwed up. That's why the relationship ended. Ugh. Third stage of grief is blaming someone else. So now we're blaming our partner. They are the one. They're the reason why this relationship ended. They are the reason why my heart feels twisted inside. Fourth stage of grief is self-righteousness. So now my blame is going to be flared up with righteous anger. Yep, I have some real estate there towards some ex-girlfriends. Still do, probably. And then the fifth stage of grieving is survival. That's where we're coming full circle we're integrating from these first 4 stages and we're able to move on. So essentially this video is about how to get to the survival place of a breakup. And more importantly than getting to the survival place is then learning how to actually live. So back to the point, JP. Am I getting a little sidetracked? Yes, I am. Feels like I have a mental disorder right now. No, I don't. I might. I think I'm going to break up with myself right now. With that said, know thy grief. And you're going to hear my dog walking around. Please forgive him. I want to ask you, what are you actually grieving? We know, okay, this person that you broke up with or they broke up with you, they're not in your life anymore. So we literally know what you're grieving the loss of. But deeper than that, let's get beyond our head and deeper into our heart. What did this person represent to me? What did they symbolize? Anytime we get into a relationship, we have this usually unconscious sense of, I am now whole and complete with this person in my life. I had a void, this person filled it, that felt good. Now this person leaves, and we're getting intimate with our void. So what did this person represent? Did they represent affection, acceptance, tenderness? How would you define what your ex-partner represented to you? And that tells us what you saw in them that you didn't know how to see in yourself. That tells us, actually for me it implies what for me is a great insight. I have to think it's great because I'm about to say it. I'm a little biased here. Any breakup, the breakup of any relationship is a golden opportunity to deepen the relationship with yourself. If we're willing to be conscious through the breakup. So now I'm discovering, okay, here's what I didn't know how to give myself. The tenderness, affection. That's why I looked for it from this person. And now that I know part of what I'm really grieving inside, the loss of tenderness, acceptance, affection, valuing, now the relationship with myself gets deeper because I understand those are aspects of my life that I'm now being gifted with a wisdom that I can give them to myself. If this person never left me or if I never left them, then I wouldn't have this opportunity to go more depth and learn how to give these things to myself. So knowing what we're grieving. A third aspect of the going through a breakup mindset, which further deepens our understanding and our processing of the grief, is asking ourselves, who did I want this person to be for me? So back when, whether it was months ago or years ago, when you got together, you were intoxicated from infatuation. What did you want this person to be for you then? And we'll have our definition. We'll usually all have our own version of the Prince Charming or Princess Charming fairy tale. They were going to be my everything. And however you would define what your Prince or Princess Charming was, that's important for you to consider. So who I wanted this person to be for me, I want to understand what that was for me, who I wanted them to be. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm actually grieving. I'm grieving the loss of the person who they never were. Yes, I'm losing who they were. They're leaving my life. And I'm losing who I wanted them to be. It's very hard for us to move through the grief that we don't know we're grieving. So that's why we stay stuck in it. That's why we go through a breakup and we feel tormented by these haunting voices that say, you need that person. You have to go back. You'll be nothing without them. You'll never find someone else. That is the stickiness of the ungrieved grief we don't know is there. But once we know it's there, it goes into our circulation. We're able to kind of metabolize it, detoxify it, move beyond it in time. Next question I'd ask you, kind of next mindset on going through a breakup, I'd ask you to splash into your face is, who did I want to be for this person? Who did I want to be for them? I'm thinking of a past relationship for me. And when me and this lovely person got together, I loved watching how she would listen to me. And boy, she really thought I was insightful, super smart, super suave, and whatever. She probably thought I was handsome. And then as the relationship began to get shaky, I started to feel the opposite of that. Whoa, it seems to me like she thinks I'm a idiot. It seems to me like she doesn't think I'm insightful at all. She thinks I'm an ugly person inside and out. At least that's what my eyes were telling me, that her eyes were telling her. So in other words, who did I want to be for her? Well, I wanted to be her Prince Charming. So I'm grieving not only the loss of her, I'm also grieving the loss of who I wanted her to be, and I'm grieving the loss of who I wanted to be for her. I mean, that's a triple whammy of grief. And if I can't get in touch with that, then that electrified energy of this grief, the sadness, the shame, the anger, that's all intertwined in what I'm calling the general word of grief. If I can't get in touch with that, that'll get misdirected. And that's when I'll have to sit here and tell you about how awful of a person she was. And boy, you better sit there for a while, because I've got a long list of reasons why she's an awful person. That's my misdirected energy of my unexpressed grief. Because I can't express, I can't process what I can't connect with. And becoming aware of what's there is the first powerful step of connecting with it. Next mindset I'd ask you to consider when you're going through a breakup is gratitude. You might say, no, JP, you said have a place for your emotions, and you know what? I am ticked off at this person. Yes, let that be in its place. And please also let gratitude be in its place too. And certainly my life experience tells me the more I process the really hot, intense anger and shame and sadness, the more the gratitude can really come to light. So my question for you is, what are you grateful for about this person? You invested an amount of time with them, and it ended. We never plan on a relationship ending when we get into it, yet every single relationship we ever get into will end, be it through choice or death. So, though you never planned on it ending, my question is, you invested time with this person, your life energy. What are you grateful for about that? What lessons about you did you learn through your experience of this person? Pleasurable lessons, painful lessons, light side, shadow side. What are they for you? The lovely ex-girlfriend of mine that I'm still actually processing about 3 years later here on the video in front of you, one of the things I'm grateful for about her is I learned that there's a part of me that feels unlovable when someone's angry at me. I learned through her that when she would get angry at me, I learned that I felt incredibly unlovable. Part of me said essentially, you can't be angry at me and love me at the same time. So that told me actually a lot of my part in the breakup. Why I would try and disconnect from her, it was really because I was trying to disconnect from how unlovable I felt. And this poor lady who put up with me, she was a human being. Of course she was going to get angry. But there I was, I had no idea in the moment with her that when she was getting angry and I was creating this story about how screwed up of a person she is, because look how angry she is, that was because I didn't know how to say, I feel really unlovable right now. I never learned in my life how to receive love in the presence of anger. If I didn't have her in my life for the time she was in my life, I'd look into the crystal ball of my future, and here's what I would predict. I would live the rest of my life navigating relationships and people in a way where I would always be twisting and contorting myself in an avoidance strategy of anger, twisting me to avoid anger. That's very suffocating to me. So one of the gifts this lovely person taught me, that I taught myself through our investment together, is it's okay for me to be loved in the presence of anger. That's a whole thing for me to work on. And there's a whole list of other pieces of gratitude that I have for her. Lastly, what I would ask you to consider is, if and when the time is right, whether it is a week after the breakup, a year after the breakup, 10 years after the breakup, if they are willing and if you are willing, get together and share your gratitude with each other. Share your emotions. Share it all. Briefly, I'll tell you this ex-girlfriend of mine who I'm referencing without name. She's in XJP's Girlfriend Anonymous program, so I can't tell you her name. It was probably about 2 years after our breakup, and it was heated breakup. It was angry, yelling, crying, we're done. Never talked to her after that. 2 years later, I run into her in a coffee shop. As soon as I see her, my palms start sweating. I forget how to breathe. I pretty much think I'm going to die. She sees me. We start talking. I'm surprised as how 3 hours later of us sharing our experiences and gratitude together, how much lighter my heart was. And I'd love to say that I had the courage to plan that. And I did with other ex-girlfriends, but this one, I think life had to plan it for me. It had to connect us unknowingly in a coffee shop. So with that said, what I've shared with you is consider making a place for your emotions. Consider knowing what you're grieving. What did the person represent to you? Who did you want them to be? Who did you want you to be for them? And connect with your gratitude. Would you be willing to work with all of that in your time as you are going through the choppy waters of a breakup? It is choppy water. Smooth water makes lousy sailors. So here you are going through the rough water of a breakup. It's not easy. Yet I'd encourage you to keep going anyway. And with that said, if you happen to be an ex-girlfriend of mine, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. And if you're not an ex-girlfriend of mine, you're welcome to subscribe to my channel too. and I'll talk to you next time.